This is Soulframe. It's an action MMORPG being developed by Digital Extremes, the same company that brought us the long successful Warframe. It has similar combat to The Witcher 3, world design like Elden Ring, and the exploration of Skyrim. And I am really stoked to have gotten my hands on a copy of this bad boy so that I can finally talk about it and give you my early thoughts and opinions. Now, the game is still in really early access, so take everything that I show you today with a grain of salt because many of these things will most likely change before the official release. The game features multiplayer with up to 3 total party members, an open world with some early explorable content, and procedurally generated dungeons that'll keep you crawling back. I don't want to get into too many details on the story as we only have bits and pieces so far, but to summarize, we were born and raised on Midrath. At a young age, we were kidnapped by the Ode, which is an evil organization draining the planet of its resources and turning the animal kingdom into their slaves. So it's basically Sonic, but with extra steps. We managed to get back to the surface and we are back for revenge, baby. I quite like the story so far. It feels a lot more unique by design as stuff like classes, characters, and general lore tie in very well with each other. Speaking of classes, the options are a bit limited due to how early in development the game currently is, but we do get to start with 2 different classes. The first one being Ode Tempest, which is an elemental build. Ability 1 is throwing up a piece of earth that launches enemies backwards. Ability 2 is a ball of lightning that shocks the target and weakens it over time. And Ability 3 is a self and team buff where you create an orb that follows you around, shielding you from damage using nature and elements. The other starting option is Fae, which gives you animal abilities centered around the use of a bow. The first ability in this pack lets you freeze enemies in a state of earth. You can run up to them, hit them, and absolutely annihilate them. Ability 2 summons a bunch of birds that start swooping in on the target, freezing them in place and building up a poise break. And Ability 3 turns you into a bird yourself. It'll shroud you in darkness and make you invisible to the enemies. You can basically fly around, go up behind them, and you can strike them in the back for extra stealth damage. It has been a long time since I've had this much fun in a game. Stealth kills just haven't felt the same since Assassin's Creed went downhill, but they've done it so well here. As of now, there are 2 other classes or packs. At the time of writing this, I haven't unlocked them yet, so I can't really speak too much about them. I do know that they plan on adding more over time though. Like I mentioned before, the game is still in a very early state, but what they've done with the classes here is an incredible achievement. Every class feels unique and is a less is more situation in my eyes. I'd rather have less options as long as they feel more impactful, and in this case they've done an incredible job with just that. Going into current explorable content, there are a few main quests that are available to play right now, where you follow the stories of ancestors, which we don't know a whole lot about yet, but essentially once each one is discovered, they give you a little piece of lore about themselves, and then you go back to the Nightfold. And my god, the Nightfold! I forgot to write about the Nightfold. The Nightfold is essentially this little village that you build up each time you meet an ancestor. It's a hub world that you can return to and access by the press of a button. Once there, each ancestor that you meet is available and each one offers different amenities. And I believe over time we'll also see side missions and quests from these guys. And man, never have I found a hub to be so satisfying and pleasing as this one. Well, aside from... Anyway, the ancestors are fucking awesome. Each one brings a different personality to the table. Each one is super interesting and fun to interact with, except for the blacksmith. She's a fucking stupid sad bitch that won't shut the fuck up about how much she sucks.
I am Tuval Kane, not Kane, my father's father. Not the greatest steel singer in all the world, but the worst who ever lived.
The design is just so well done with these people and their quests, especially with Verminia the Witch. She's now gotta be in my top 3 waifus of all time.
I am the witch Verminia. Enchantée.
After stumbling around for a while, you will eventually find this rat in a cage. After setting it free, you follow the rat and it takes you to Verminia. She'll give you an item that'll help you kill Nimrod, a lightning-wielding ironclad Ode member who gets absolutely ganked as soon as you take away his electronics privileges. After stopping Nimrod and his incredible lightning rod, you can meet Verminia back in the Nightfold and she will dye your armors for you. Every quest just feels super engaging, and again, unlike a lot of other MMOs and RPGs, it just feels like everything that you do matters and that you are actually making a difference. The scenery, music score, writing, and sound design, it's just all top tier, and this is only still in a pre-alpha state. Going back to the dungeons, there are many to explore, but they are ever changing. This is both a good and a bad thing, as only the quest dungeons are scripted for right now, and not everything is completely fleshed out yet. An example of this being a problem is that my buddy found an endless wave room that had these monsters in it that are almost like Gibdos from Zelda. You have to extract their souls each time that you kill them to keep them from reincarnating themselves. He had tried for a very long time to find another instance of this room so that he could show me, but it just would not spawn for us. We finally ended up stumbling upon one by accident, and it ended up being an incredibly good grinding spot. But the problem here is finding one of these rooms is completely based on RNG. I would like for DE to add more scripted dungeons on top of the randomly generated ones, that way it kind of balances out, and then we'll be able to find these spots wherever we want to in the future. Whether you see this as an issue or not, it is completely up to you. Like I said, it is a good thing too, because it does help keep the game fresh, exciting, and invigorating. The skill tree is fairly simple. You can slot buffs to your abilities, health, and stats per class, and then you can simply swap at any time you want, which is incredibly fluid. It's super seamless. There's no respecking required. If you want to switch up your playstyle, you just swap it out at your dresser in the Nightfold, and boom, you're playing a whole nother build. Weapon stats are separate though. There's no drop rates or affinities that change per drop. You do, however, have to craft the weapons yourself. To do this, you just need to find fragments of the weapons and you piece them together at the blacksmith. As far as I can tell, these are completely random, as you can find them in chests around the world. You can find them off enemies and bosses. There are, however, chests that will guarantee you a fragment drop. It just might not be the exact one that you're looking for. Players in the party will get mostly the same floor loot, I've noticed. However, unlike Warframe, the party does not get the same quest rewards for fragment pieces. I have heard that DE is going to be completely reworking the loot system in the next update though, so hopefully it will become a little bit easier to pinpoint what piece you're looking for. So far, everything from the classes and crafting feels really good to take part in. However, I feel like this is going to be a good point for me to mention that the game is going to be free to play. I know how that sounds, not very good, but luckily DE has a very respectable track record when it comes to respecting players and their needs and their wallets. So if it's anything like Warframe, the microtransactions will be very much in the background. So to segue from the crafting, essentially Warframe capitalizes off of crafting items, which we can already see a little bit of inside of Soulframe, but they don't seem to be nearly as aggressive. Some items in Warframes, it can take up to 3 days to craft, whereas in Soulframe, the highest that I've seen is 24 hours. The capitalization comes in where you can pay 50 platinum to get it immediately. 50 platinum equates to about $3.33 US, or 7 cents per single platinum. You can even get daily login coupons that'll give you discounted platinum prices as well, bringing it even lower. And if you're worried about the game being pay to win, let me go ahead and kill all of that speculation now. As far as I can tell, Soulframe's armor doesn't give you any benefits per piece, as all of your defense and resistance stats are tied specifically to your class and your skill tree. It's the same way in Warframe 2, so if they continue to follow this business model closely, the only thing that you will be able to pay for is the convenience of receiving a crafted item faster and layered armor cosmetic sets. They've done a pretty good job in Warframe at keeping most weapons balanced so that you don't feel pressured into having to pay for a weapon to get crafted faster. All content in Warframe has been free to play for all players, so we shouldn't see any paid DLC or content aside from cosmetic stuff in Soulframe either. Another note worth making is that the paid cosmetics inside of Warframe have always felt worth their price. This isn't Diablo where they're going to try to charge you $30 for a skin and $65 for a mount, and I really can't wait to see what kind of armor sets and skins that they come up with and that they're going to be able to produce for this game. There are a lot of things that I just brushed over here, but I don't want to break everything down to the nitty-gritty details today. I just wanted to bring the game to your attention because I feel like DE has done an incredible job with such a simple concept, and I would love to see this game succeed. If you want to play it, you can sign up via the link in the description. You just go create an account with your email, and every week they send out a batch of about 2,000 codes to members. You can also join their Discord, and every once in a while you can find people throwing out their extra codes, as you will receive 4 in your email whenever they do get back to you. There is an update coming here in the next few weeks, which I'll break down in a future video. I'm going to be covering this game very closely as we continue to receive more updates and roadmaps, so be sure to follow if you want to stay in the loop on the newest Soulframe content. Thank you very much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, stay awesome.